this idea of just a human speaking with an LLM, as shown by the beautiful AI icon, it feels magical, but it is sort of fundamentally flawed because it responds with stuff like, I don't know, or it just makes shit up if it doesn't have the right context. Or, so just to give some examples, you've probably seen these cases. How many rocks should I eat? And Google tells you at least one small rock per day. Are parachutes effective? Parachutes are no more effective than backpacks at preventing death when jumping from an aircraft, and that you should put glue on pizza. Basically, we can't rely, particularly in healthcare, on AI or LLMs on their own actually understanding and being trustworthy. We can train it, the model itself, on as much data as we like. The LLM will make shit up. That's where, and then the other problem is LLMs like to talk, but they're not very good at acting. They can't act. The only thing they can do is respond with text. So that's where the concept of, you've seen Her, I imagine, the Spike Jonze film. What we get with ChatGPT on its own is not like Scarlett Johansson's voice. What we see on ChatGPT now, though, is because what they've done is it's not you talking to an LLM, it's you talking to an agent that has access to a whole bunch of tools at its disposal. So I just want to walk through a couple of stories of how this works, where instead of it being the LLM just being the thing that responds on its own, it becomes like an operator. Back in the day, admittedly before I was born, you'd call up a telephone operator, and based on your request, they'd pass you on to the right recipient. That's effectively what an agent is. It gets a request from you, like find references in the transcript for diabetes. It thinks a little bit, like, I don't have information about the transcript because you've literally just asked it for that. So then it goes to the database. It gets that transcript from our own database. It retrieves the transcript. It now has context about the transcript, so it can actually answer your question and says, I found 2 mentions of diabetes. And presumably also give them, I just didn't have space in the text here. That's an example where it is fetching data from outside of what your initial request was up here. It's fetching it from here, and it's using that as context to answer your question. Another example where it has to do some planning, find the right ICD-10 codes for this interaction. So let's say you give it an interaction ID. Well, it knows that first it needs to get the clinical note because you haven't provided it. You've just provided the question. So that's step 1. And then step 2, now it's got the clinical note. It now needs to go to the coding expert to get that. So it figures to itself, well, now I have the note, I should code it. And then finally, the coding model returns, and then the operator tells the user it's code F10.929. Don't look it up. Now, here, what we've shown is that not only can agents make use of just single tools, like here, but it also has the ability to do planning, to make use of multiple tools consecutively. So it knows it doesn't have the document and it doesn't have the code. But it needs the documents before it can ask the coding model, expert model, to do anything. So at each of these steps, it can also send back each of these sort of they're called tools or functions, or there's all sorts of naming at the moment. But think of them as these tools that the agent or the operator has access to, and they can all return back information back to the user. So let's take this final example of the agent responding with F10929, but actually maybe the user wants to see all the suggested codes as well. The coding model can respond with that. So you've probably seen an example here. Let's go agent. I can come in here and I can go, let's pick one of the interactions, find ICD-10 codes. And with a little bit of luck, and there we go. So the first tool is it's actually, in this case, it's fetching the data in one step and it's coding it. And I can click on this little checkbox and I can see all of the suggested codes. And then you can create an experience around that. Or the LLM, you can see the LLM's response of the 6 codes that get returned. Now, we talked about this sort of one-step thing. But if we just go here, Now, because I've opened up a conversation, I can respond to that conversation. I can have a follow-up message where I can say to the AI, why did you pick that code? And the AI operator knows that it can't really answer that question. So first it figures out what does the user actually want. So it first figures out, well, I want to justify the code f10.929. How does it know that? Because it was the previous message in the conversation. Then it knows that it can't answer it, but the coding expert model can. So it sends that query on to the coding expert. Now, we talked a lot about coding models just being, you send it some text, you get back some codes. You can actually it's using an LLM as well. So you can have a conversation with the coding expert. And then the coding expert returns with the information of, well, we said that because the note states X, Y, Z. And I can actually do that right now. Why did you say justify each code? Let's try that. So now it's linking the code with the justification from the clinical note, and we can actually get it to return quotations, for example, as well. So there are a couple of examples of using, I even did the screenshot, amazing, using different tools and consecutively to plan out an answer. But these are just a few. All of these are actually available on the demo here, and you can try it out. But where it gets much more exciting is when we can start integrating with complete third-party systems. So I want to build tools to interact with and retrieve data from, or eventually also push data to EHRs, to e-prescribing software, scheduling software, patient portals, and so on. And also the ability for a customer to plug in their own tools as well.